Hi everybody, I'm GT and welcome to another video from me here at Campervan Journey. So remember, if you like the videos that we're providing here for you through Campervan Journey, you can click to subscribe to follow. So in today's video, I want to talk to you all about bike racks, specifically a 4-bike rack. So shortly after buying our California, we purchased the Volkswagen Tailgate mounted bike rack. You see in the pictures here. Now this is a very common accessory that lots of people buy for their vans, and quite rightly so. It's a great bike rack and does a great job. However, we found on 2 camping trips that there were 3 limitations that really caused quite significant problems for us, which led us down the route of looking for an alternative solution to carry 4 bikes. Problem number 1 was I'm not particularly tall, and when the bikes are mounted on the rack, the base of the bike rack sits here. Now in comparison to the Atera bike rack that we have now, you can see that's almost 2 feet higher up. And that makes a big difference when you're loading the bikes on and off. So having to lift them a lot higher up. The second issue is the rear visibility. With the base of the bike rack, the Volkswagen genuine bike rack positioned, the right height of the base is roughly here, which means that all of your bikes are then positioned directly in front of the rear view window. Now that causes obviously limitations to the rear visibility when you're driving with bikes on a bike rack, but more specifically, when the bike rack is folded up, it also causes limitations with your rear visibility as well. And my wife found when she was using the van day to day for parking, actually that caused a problem because it wasn't very easy to see out of the back of the van. The third one, and probably the most key one, we almost came a cropper with on our trip to France, was the overall height of the bikes on the Volkswagen rack means that they stand proud of the height of the vehicle. So California's come in roughly just under 2 meters high, which is fine for most height restrictions when you're traveling. With your bikes loaded onto the bike rack, certainly with the bikes that we have, we were coming in more like 2 meters 10, 2 meters 15. And we found that when we were driving around the boulevard periphery, that almost caused us a major problem as we came up to a tunnel which had a height restriction of maximum of 2 meters. Now when you're travelling at 60, 70 miles an hour around a tunnel, and then suddenly you see in front of you a height restriction in a foreign language and no obvious places where to come off, you have a bit of a panic as to how you're going to deal with it. And I really didn't want to put ourselves in that position again, because it's not just tunnels, it could be car park barriers, all sorts of things where there's a 2 meter height. So that set us down the route of trying to find an alternative solution that would enable us to carry 4 bikes on the rack plus the one inside, and give us an option to deal with all of those issues that we'd experienced. So one of the other issues that a lot of people come across with bikes loaded on the back, and especially if you have a tailgate derivative of van, is the access to the rear. So having your bikes all loaded on the back, fantastic, great, but invariably when you're doing a long journey and you've taken your bikes away with us, you're going to pull over and stop at some point. Access to the boot, if you can't get into your boot, can be a bit of a nuisance. So having a bike rack that enables you to access the boot also became something that we wanted to see if we could find. So having done lots of research online, there's not many providers that would achieve all of those things. So being lower down, Towbar mounted, and if you check in my video listings, you'll see a review of the detachable Westphalia Towbar that we had fitted to enable us to accommodate the bike rack that we chose. So we wanted Towbar mounted, lower down, ability to carry 4 bikes, and also access ideally into the tailgate. and the Atera Strada is the option that we chose as seeming to tick all of those boxes. I'm very pleased to say it's proved to be a perfect choice and does all of the things really well. So what I'd like to show you now is a little bit more about how it works, how practical it is, and how it deals with all those things. So here you can see the rack is set up with 4 bikes on. We've got 3 adult bikes and a child's bike. When you buy the Atera rack, it's default packages for 3 bikes, and then there's an additional optional accessory you can buy, which is this extra platform to carry a 4th bike, and this just clamps on to the main assembly. It's not particularly expensive item to purchase. You can see the bikes are clamped very securely with these ratchet straps that are very easy to operate, so you just clamp them down, push the bands through and ratchet it through, and then when they're tight and secure. The bikes are all locked together with these clamp bars, so security locked, and then again using a ratchet strap you crank these up so they're very, very secure. And whilst there's the movement, you're always going to have movement in the rack. It can be the first time you drive, it can be a bit disconcerting when you see the bikes moving around, but they're very, very secure. It comes a bit of a knack to position them and set them all up so that the bars and clamps secure. When you have 4 bikes, you have 1 clamp that secures between bike 3 and bike 4. The other 3 clamping items are all secured from the main rack assembly, which you can just see running through. So bike number 1, bike number 2 and bike number 3. And again, once you've used the rack a few times, you'll get quite accomplished with positioning them so that they all are locked and positioned securely. Sometimes, depending on how you position your bikes, you may find that actually there's a benefit to twist the handlebars. Again, most modern bikes just have the handlebar stems and the saddles secured with an Allen key or a quick release bolt, so it's not a major problem just to twist these and pivot them round so that they're not obstructing each other, or more specifically not causing a problem with being too close to the rear windscreen. But as you can see at the moment how we're set up, there's at least a foot between this one and the back, and here we've got enough clearance, around about 4 or 5 inches clearance. So even on a very significant bump, there's plenty of clearance between the back and here, just to make sure that there's no impact risk. So we're going to release the rack by pushing the button, push the bar at the bottom, and then hold the bikes as you slide backwards. And what I've actually done is twisted the handlebars round as I would normally run with them on, just to give more space, and that will provide us with ample clearance when we're opening the tailgate. So I can release the boot, just hold it just in case, but there we go. So absolutely perfect. So I can now get in and out of the back of the boot. I can unload all of my luggage with no problem whatsoever. And this is something you certainly can't do with the tailgate mounted racks. There's no way at all that you'd be able to open the tailgate safely with bikes on. I've seen people do it, but there's absolutely no way you'd want to do it. So this solution is, for what we were looking for, perfect. You can now see that from a height point of view, massively lower, and there's security and much easier access for being able to load on and out was again achieved by changing to this bike rack. So to push the bikes back into position once you've slid forwards is again very easy. Just remember, if you've got all your bikes on there, it's going to be quite heavy. Just take it steady, push the bikes in an even fashion, just push up, and then when it locks and clicks and secure, most importantly, and you can see down here when our little green peg has popped up and is visible, that means that everything is secure. So with the bike rack all set up, you can see it positioned on the Towbar hitch. This is the securing anchor. All 4 rails have these very easy to use clamping units for the wheels. So there's a little nut on the inside that you unscrew to be able to slide backwards and forwards. Tighten those in, and then each tyre and wheel is secured with a ratchet strap. So these slide through, and then you clamp up to secure them. So very, very stable and secure, and very easy to unclip too. So you can position all of these inside out. You can actually slide them off by taking these end caps off to then twist them around through 180 degrees. If it's easy, you'll find that each bike is slightly different with how it needs to be configured and positioned. But when you set them up, sometimes I take a photo. If we've been away camping for a week, I'll take a photo when we arrive at our destination before I take all the bikes off, so I know the position they were set up in before I put them back on. That way, hopefully, you shouldn't have to mess around too much with readjusting the positions of the fixing points. You can see clearly now with no bikes on, this is the extension bar for the fourth bike, so it clamps onto the main unit here, runs across the back, and then gives you the additional rail for the fourth bike, and again works in exactly the same way. It stands a little bit higher up so it's clear of your number plate and your rear lights, and obviously these are all plugged in through the wiring and illuminate and flash accordingly with your main light units. That's the other big benefit with this type of rack, is that there's no risk of your lights being obscured on the van by anything else. You've still got this extra visibility with your lighting, your brake lights and your indicators too. Okay. So these three clamps are the ones that secure the three bikes to the rack itself. Again, these are all lockable and secure, but you put your ratchet strap through, clank it up to keep it clicked and secure. There are three different lengths. Just remember when you're putting your bikes up, if they've got crossbars, that these need to often feed through the frames on the bikes, and once your first bike's on, if this needs to come through the frame of that first bike, you can't feed it through easily once the bike's on, so you need to guide them through as you're setting up. Same with this one here, which runs from the back all the way through. It's got also a bit of a curve in it, so that as you twist it, you can adjust the position of the clamping mechanism, so that invariably with a bit of adjustment both up and down and with twist, you're going to be able to find somewhere secure to be able to clamp on to. The fourth bike is secured by a supplementary one of these, which clamps from bike number 3 to bike number 4, and I'll show you that in a moment. So to remove the rack completely, there's a lock mechanism just under the handle here. So unlock with your keys, twist, and I'm going to push the catch here, which then releases the bar. I'm just going to drop the rear bar forwards just to make it a little bit easier to hold. And now that I've done that, again, I've got a color-coded release indicator there, so that showing me now that it's red's popped up, I can lift up and then actually release the whole rack off. Remembering to disconnect the cables. So the rack itself is pretty heavy, so rather than struggle yourself, if it is too heavy for you, just get somebody else to assist with taking it off. And one of the only downsides really that we found of the rack is that you've got to have, if you're not going to have it on the vehicle, you're not using it, you need somewhere to store it. So either in garage or shed, wherever. Whereas the Volkswagen Tailgate rack is obviously permanently affixed to the back of the van, which is probably one of the main advantages of it in my eyes over this Atera rack. So the Atera Strada bike rack is Towbar mounted, and hopefully you've seen in my videos the video I did about the Westphalia detachable towbar that we had fitted to the van. The primary reason for that was for us to be able to use this bike rack. There's a link here to that video if you want to click in and watch it, and you can see it in my California accessories and options playlist as well. To fit the rack on, pretty straightforward. So it is quite heavy, but clip on, you want to lift up, line the catch up, so line the catch up with the towing eye, push forward, and then clanking back. As you can see, the peg here is showing green, so that means telling me that it's secure. Get it as level as you can, and then when you're happy that it's in position, crank down with the lever, and then when it's tight and secure, I can twist the catch to lock it. I'm happy because I've got the green light that is all secure. So unlock, and then I'm ready to load my bikes. So to load my first bike, I'll show you in real time how we load one bike. So push this section so it's vertical, twist these bars to clamp them in. So I'm happy that they're in the right position. Now, because I've made a note of how the bikes were when I first loaded them on, I know which order I'm going to put them back on in. So the first bike, and I've already got my handlebars twisted to allow for the bike being close to the back. And the other thing I'm going to remember to do is feed these two clamps through the centre of the bike to enable to make it easier for loading the second and third bikes in a moment. So a little bit fiddly, obviously it's easier with another pair of hands, but I just want to show you how it is possible to do this on your own. So the bike set up in position. I know these wheel mounts are in the right position because we'd already set them up from the previous bike. And then using the ratchet straps, so we feed the ratchet strap through the wheel, slide it through, and then just crank it up. When it's tight, secure. Same for the front wheel. Slide that in, and just needs a little jiggle to get it lined up. Secure. And then on this one here, again same principle, slide the strap through, push it tight. I'm happy that I've got these through already, and then just ratchet that up. And then these top ones are the ones that have got the security mechanism on as well. So these are going to be locked. So using the key, same key as the main key, twist that, and then that's all secure. So all I need to do now is load the other bikes that we've got for the trip. So I'll just do those in high speed, and then we're all done. There we go. In just around about 5 minutes, I've managed to load all the bikes on. They're all locked and secure, and we're good to head on our journey. So hopefully that's given you a really good breakdown as to why we chose the Atera Strada as our preferred bike rack solution. It achieved all of our objectives for being a low level, easy access height, didn't obstruct any of the visibility on the rear of our van, and certainly didn't protrude above the height of the van, causing us any problems. It enabled us to carry 4 bikes safely. We are a family of 5, but we can put one of the extra bikes, certainly the smaller child's bike, into our normal luggage area when we pack. It also towbar mounted, means that when we're not using it, we can take it off, store it safely and securely, and it will be out of the way with our detachable towbar concealed. But full thumbs up from us here at Campervan Journey. It's definitely a better choice for us than the Volkswagen Tailgate mounted rack. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Remember, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please click subscribe, and there'll be more videos from us soon here on Campervan Journey. Thank you.